Big fluff.
I'm Mr. Bradstone. I'm the chaperone. It is too friggin' loud in here. And I've got a headache the size of the moon.
Mr. Bradstone.
Now I've got no intentions of traveling with a bunch of screaming misfits, so tone it way down. And don't test me, or it'll get ugly. If you understand English, raise your hands. Now shut up.
Hello again, I'm Joel Murphy.
And I'm Andy McIntyre.
And this is Silver Linings Playback, the podcast where we watch maligned movies and we find their silver linings.
And as it's the month of August and people are going back to school, we're doing school-related movies. And what is, if not the fondest memory of your school days, but a field trip? And what is a field trip without a chaperone?
That's true. That was almost a haiku, I feel like, but that's true. School trips. We haven't really talked about it, but you're a teacher. This is all
I am a teacher.
Old hat to you. You're a teacher with an old hat.
I have many old hats.
Yeah. You know a good field trip,
I do.
Which I will say, this movie, The Chaperone, pretty sparse on chaperones. Like, outside of Triple H.
There was Triple H, the dude trying to get with Yeardley Smith, and then Yeardley Smith.
Yeah. Yeardley Smith, who I just want to point out, didn't need the money to do this. So whatever her reasons, they were not financially based.
I guarantee it's as a favor to someone in the production of this movie.
I think she just wanted to meet Triple H.
Big DX fan, Yeardley Smith.
Yeah, I heard that she used to interrupt recordings of Simpsons episodes by just going around telling everyone to suck it. And they were like, Lisa Simpson doesn't say that. She was like, yes, she does now.
This Lisa Simpson. Luckily, I'm Yeardley Smith.
And I might
Lisa
sound
Simpson.
exactly like Lisa Simpson, but I'm Yeardley Smith.
I love that, just to talk about The Simpsons for a second, which, we never do on this podcast. But I love that she's maybe the only person that just does one voice on The Simpsons.
Not only does she just do one voice, it's her voice. She won at life.
Yeah. And whenever she's done, she's voiced some other characters over the years. Like Lisa 2 when Homer got stranded on the deserted island. But it was just her voice again.
I think she's done like a few other characters, but they're usually about her voice. Like there's not much variation. No. But yeah, like she gets paid. I think that's what's crazy is I think like her and Dan Castellaneta make the same amount of money, and he and Hank Azaria leave in like flop sweats after having done 60 characters, and she gets to roll in and just be Lisa, and she won at life. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. 100%. But anyways, we're talking about The Chaperone. I think the beginning of Triple H's acting career, because I think this predates Blade Trinity.
I love that you said that as if, and no offense to the man who, if he's listening, obviously we love you and please invite us to WWE events. But I love you said the beginning of his acting career, as if to imply, the historic decades and decades of his acting career.
Hollywood conqueror Paul Levesque.
Yeah. They had it. They had the Paul Triple H Levesque, which he's just now going by, but they were trying to get that going back then. But yeah, he had this. He did Blade Trinity, and he did an episode of the Drew Carey Show where he played the disciplinarian. I remember that. That might have been his first role, honestly.
That actually probably was. Because
I remember that China was in that episode with them. So that was very early on. But yeah.
Yeah.
This is a WWE film, I believe, correct?
It is it very much is.
Yeah, back when they were really trying to make a go of that. Now it's just sort of a novelty where you find out that they've made 35 Marine movies and they all star The Miz somehow, but no one's ever seen any of those. This is when they thought they could have theatrical releases that were going to take off.
Right. And instead they just did a lot of straight to streaming. Well, straight to video and then straight to streaming.
Yeah. But yeah, it stars Paul Triple H Levesque as a recently released from prison, guy who's trying to reconnect with his family. However, the bad influences in his life, the guys who literally left him holding the bag and, he went to prison and they didn't, immediately tried to recruit him to do another job as soon as he gets out. And he chooses to be a chaperone on his daughter's field trip instead of robbing the bank. But they,
at the last possible second, like literally gets out of the getaway car to get on the bus to be the chaperone for his daughter, played by Ariel Winter of Modern Family fame.
Which I will just say too, like, I get he's hungry for the juice, right? Like, he's tempted to return to his life of crime. That's obviously the thing that this movie's playing with. But like with these guys, with the guys that will hang you out to dry, like that, who like, let's be real, do not seem like a good crew. Like,
no, they don't seem very good at being bank robbers.
Like, would personally love to hang out with Kevin Corrigan, who seems like a good hang.
He does seem like a good hang.
And who's a fantastic actor. But like in this movie, Philip LaRue, his New Orleans criminal character, real scumbag and not really bringing much to the heist operation, I don't feel like.
I will say, I agree. Kevin Corrigan's a fantastic actor, and might be the best at playing a scumbag.
He's really good at it. It is kind of his jam.
He's either Marky Mark's or Leonardo DiCaprio's cop magnet cousin in The Departed, or the acting teacher on Community, or the good for nothing sibling on that weird like early aughts TV show Grounded for Life. He plays that scumbag and he does it well.
Which is almost a weird connection that they both have like a like 1 to 2 degree separation from the Blade films, in that obviously Triple H is in Blade Trinity, and Corrigan, what you're referring to, is Grounded for Life, where he played Donald Logue's brother, and of course right. Donald Logue starred in the first Blade film.
Yes,
so they do have that Blade connection. Which,
friend of the show, Donald Logue.
I thought you were going to say Wesley Snipes, and in my dream.
No,
Wesley
not yet.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously Donald Logue, fellow Irishman. We got that connection. Also, weirdly, wow. This is all this episode's going to be, apparently. I'm just going to play this game. Donald Logue played Dan Harmon in the Cody Heller's TV show Dummy, where Anna Kendrick played Cody Heller. And also, as you said, Corrigan played a teacher in Community. So they both, have Dan Harmon connections.
Yes, yeah. So we're just going to play 6 Degrees of Kevin Corrigan. The most famous 6 Degrees of Kevin game that there is.
It's the only one I know of.
I just love, I love on a breakfast plate to just have some eggs and Corrigan and maybe a little toast. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. My favorite book as a kid was Green Corrigans and Ham. Does that even make sense? That doesn't even make sense. No, I don't care. Mine was a reach and yours was even further. It felt really good, and then I said it and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. No, because, yeah. Anyways. Now we're just playing 6 Degrees of actual bacon. 6 Degrees of actual bacon. All right, I need you to get from turkey to bacon in 6 degrees. Club sandwich, 1 degree, done. Also, turkey bacon. This isn't actually challenging. This is an easy game. Yeah. Anyway, so the movie follows a paint by numbers plot where Triple H somehow comes into possession of the money that they robbed from another bank, the bank that he bailed on, the bank robbery that he bailed on. And he's trying to give the money back to them, and it gets way harder than it should be for him to give the money back to them. Well, because they do the thing where someone clearly realized that this is a plot hole,
and then they just have Triple H say it. But there is a scene where he tries to give the money back, and Corrigan's trying to get him killed, and he beats up the guys who are trying to kill him and is like, I'm just trying to give you the money. I don't understand why you're doing this. Which is like, I guess credit for addressing it, but also, yes, why is he doing this? It is a weird movie where it's essentially about an ex-con who went to prison, kept his mouth shut, and just wants to leave everyone alone instead of getting revenge on the guys who sent him to prison. And the guy who sent him to prison is going like is treating him
trying
like
to screw over the guy
him.
that did the time.
It's very weird. It's like
It's
very
a
bizarre.
little backwards. It's
like the
backwards.
opposite of Goodfellas, where like they'd hook you up for having kept your mouth shut and like give you some money and set you up with something. Like in this, it's somehow you're the villain for having been in prison.
Although Triple H did immediately steal Kevin Corrigan's car in the opening scene.
But only because he's there, like driving along, like get in the car. And it's even implied, right, that he, or maybe stated that he was the getaway driver. He has to be because he leaves the car there too. So that's like, that's familiar patterns. He hasn't driven a car in a while. He wanted to get behind the wheel.
But anyways, the movie ends with Triple H getting almost arrested, but then at the last minute, someone's like, no, he was the chaperone of the field trip. And then that solves all of their problems, and Triple H and Annabeth Gish get back together. Enrico Colantoni dies in a fire, I assume. And
thank you for pointing
they did
that
Enrico
out,
Colantoni early. I thought we'd maybe get to it more sequentially, but dude got done dirty in this movie.
He got done very dirty in this movie, especially because they didn't do the thing that would have, for such a paint by numbers movie. So if you haven't seen this and you're listening to this, the whole deal is, Triple H was married and he has a daughter, and his wife, having, been disappointed by him and being, she's got needs. She's dating Enrico Colantoni now. And, but the easy move would have been to make him a villain somehow, or at least make him like unlikable.
Like a bad dude. He's just a good dude.
He's just a good dude, and he clearly loves her, and he disappears off screen. The last time we see him on screen, he's about to propose to her, and then he's just gone.
I assume it's because he died in a fire.
I think it's the only logical explanation.
I can't think of any other situation that could have happened.
But I think all of these things are important, but I think we need to nail down one thing, and this is where you being a teacher, I think, is going to help. What is the field trip? Can we nail down what this field trip is?
So they're going to New Orleans.
Okay.
To go to the famed New Orleans Natural History Museum.
I already thought that was strange. Yeah.
Of all the things that New Orleans is known for, it's the Natural History Museum.
Mm-hmm.
Then a tour of the French Quarter, which is actually what New Orleans is famous for. And a music festival, which New Orleans is also famous for.
Right. I think I was just very confused by why so much of the field trip was devoted to dinosaurs while setting it in New Orleans.
You didn't need the dinosaur stuff.
Except that, and this, we got to talk about that, but the dinosaur stuff is seemingly there because we learn in the beginning of Act 1, as he's being released from prison, that Triple H loves dinosaurs.
Yeah, that he read was it Dr. Deborah book or whatever her name was. He read
call-in,
his radio call-in show that was like giving him advice. Yeah. And he read dinosaur books. That's what he did in prison.
Mm-hmm. Sounds nice, honestly.
Could be worse.
But yeah, he knows all this stuff about dinosaurs, but very easily, I agree with you. And who knows, maybe there was a version of this script where they just went to the Natural History Museum, and then somehow maybe they got a tax credit to film in New Orleans.
100%, that's what happened.
But I think at that point, just throw out the dinosaur stuff. He already talks a little bit about music. What if what he was super interested in was, the New Orleans music scene?
It was some Dixieland jazz.
Yeah, and he just knows a ton about jazz, and then...
Or he just knew a ton about the Cash Money Millionaires and Juvenile.
That's true, too. Or beignets? What if he knew a lot about beignets?
Or crawfish boils. Well, yeah, what if he just became an expert in Cajun cooking?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he did. He was the prison cook, and he just made a lot of Cajun food in prison.
And he learned how to make just the best gumbo you've ever seen.
Prison gumbo.
He could make boudin balls that you'd just absolutely just make your mama cry.
And if you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you. Suck it.
Yeah. But yeah, they just like, did the writer does he have like a 5-year-old son and is just learning a lot about dinosaurs and he couldn't help but put it in the movie? Like, is that what happened?
Well, what happened is the guy who wrote this movie had just gotten out of prison, and he was trying to reconnect with his son who loved dinosaurs. And so he was like, Daddy's got to write this script. Yeah. And then they paid him for the script with a briefcase full of money that ended up on the bus.
The duffel bag full of money, yeah. I gotta ask, were you a dinosaur kid? I was a dinosaur kid.
Dude, oh yeah. I actually did the talent show when I was in kindergarten and sang "My Name is Stegosaurus" while wearing a homemade Stegosaurus costume. That's how into Stegosauri I was. That was my dinosaur.
You're a Stegosaurus guy? Stegosaurus is an awesome dinosaur. Like that's
yeah.
I mean, it's a solid dinosaur. I was a Brontosaurus guy, only to find out they didn't exist.
Brachiosaurus. That's the Bone Wars. We talked about the Bone Wars recently.
We did talk about the Bone Wars recently. Yeah.
Yeah. If people don't know, Brontosaurus, when they were discovered, it was because these 2 assholes were competing to discover more dinosaurs, and he discovered a dinosaur that already existed that was already called the Brachiosaurus.
Yeah. But anyways. And eventually, everything works out. Triple H and Ariel Winter reconnect. And all is white in the world. And that's the movie.
And scene. Yep.
So let's say in a world where neither existed, and you had to say which seems more like a pro wrestler name, Triple H or Ariel Winter, which would you pick?
Sorry, say that again.
Like in a world where they didn't exist and someone's like, all right, we got a wrestler. Can we call them Triple H, or should we call this woman wrestler Ariel Winter? Like, which one sounds more like a wrestler name? I say it's Ariel Winter.
That's true. Yeah.
Triple 100%. H doesn't sound like Triple H is only a thing because Triple H is a thing. Like that. Like no one would ever come up with that apropos of nothing.
Well, and they didn't even come up with Triple H. Triple H is a fascinating thing because he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and his gimmick was that he was a Connecticut blue blood. And then like they needed to retcon that. Like they didn't want to change his name because he already was somewhat established, but he basically got a brand new character while still being Hunter Hearst Helmsley. So they were like, well, we can't call him this. So they shortened it to Triple H, which was nothing but worked better than Hunter Hearst.
But it's just a weird thing. Like Triple H, you know, one of the all-time like most significant wrestlers in history. Now in charge of the WWE, you know, he's done it all. But like Triple H is objectively a dumb name, but it works in context.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so I want to start with, I think this movie is very poorly cast.
Okay.
And I don't think that this is not a comment on Triple H's acting ability in any way, shape, or form. We can get to that if you want. But I feel like Triple H should have been the bad guy in the movie, and maybe Kevin Corrigan should have been the guy trying to reconnect with his daughter and make his life better. Because if you look at those 2 guys and say, which one's the tough guy, Robin Banks, and which one's the getaway driver, I'm picking the opposite.
Okay, but if we're just recasting it, what if Triple H is the villain and Yeardley Smith is the criminal trying to get her life put back together? And Kevin Corrigan is the put upon school like administrator who is trying to do the field trip.
I mean, I feel like you could Rolodex the cast in a lot of different ways, and I just don't think that the version we got is the people in the best roles.
Probably not. I also don't, as much as we can talk about Triple H as a name, he doesn't strike me as a Ray either.
No. but just Ray. He just Ray now.
I feel like he can be a just Ray. I do buy him as a just Ray.
I buy him as a Ray, sure.
Yeah.
But it was weird that was the sticking point, was that everyone's trying, he went by Ray, but now that he's reformed, no, I'm just Ray. Ray's a criminal name, but Ray, that's a guy on the straight and narrow.
It is a weird move.
It's a weird choice. But yeah, and then this movie is just, it's not creative.
No, like you said, I mean, it's very paint by numbers. And I also, well, let's talk about this because it almost alludes to a fun idea, which weirdly, like, it does a lot of work to set up the like groundwork for, but doesn't really earn still, which is like all the kids having to help him at the end. And I think, unfortunately, the like when he tells them about dinosaurs is the only real moment that we get that kind of shows, you know, what kind of guy he is and all of that, but like, and why they might like him. But they warm up to it for like a bunch of high school kids. They immediately love him in a way that feels very unearned.
As someone who works with high schoolers and for the most part is pretty well liked by them. Yeah. Although I think if someone that looked like Triple H walked in, like, people would think that guy was cool as hell. Like, just jacked, sick ponytail. They'd be like, this guy seems decent. He seems like a good dude.
You know what? That's fair. Maybe it has nothing to do with the dinosaurs. It's just like, what a cool dude.
You know, because I'm going to tell you what, high schoolers not impressed by learning that dinosaurs evolved into birds.
Also, kind of old to not know that.
Kind of old.
Like, I feel like first of all, as you and I established, we were dinosaur kids anyway. So like, we already knew these things. I'm pretty sure they say that in Jurassic Park. I'm pretty sure like it's covered. I think it's well-worn territory, but like, yeah, it's funny that honestly, the whole thing. Yeah. It's funny that high school kids are like learning about dinosaurs at all.
Yeah. Cause you know, there's no paleontology high school class.
Although Andy and I are working on a script for paleontology high school.
We are.
Yeah. It's about the Bone Wars, but it's set in a modern day high school.
Where the cool guys are establishing the Brachiosaurus, and then this nerd's like, I'm going to be cool by discovering my own dinosaur. And he says it's the Brontosaurus. And it turns out that he's actually the bad guy because he was lying just to get friends. And he learns a valuable lesson about telling the truth.
And then in the end, they're all crushed by the dinosaur bones. They just fall right on top of them.
No, in the end, this one kid named John comes up with this idea. It's like, what if we cloned the dinosaurs? And like, John Hammond, you get those crazy ideas out of your head. And it was a Jurassic Park prequel all along.
I bet we could sell that.
Why not?
I bet we could sell a Jurassic Park prequel. What if it's just a Jurassic Park prequel where John Hammond is, he's Willy Wonka, basically. I mean, and we'll cast Timothée Chalamet. Yeah,
why not? He'll play a young Richard Attenborough.
And then that'll segue nicely into Chalamet's voice, narrating career.
Yes. Perfect. Mr. DNA. I don't know. This movie, like, it's very paint by numbers. The other thing is, like, I feel like this movie is like lit, shot, and edited as if it's a comedy, and it's not a comedy.
No, it does feel like it should be wackier. I think that's what I was trying to get at too with the kids. Like, you kind of, because they almost tease the idea of doing some kind of Home Alone ending, where they even go so far as to have the other guy trip on, they set up a thing where he's chasing after a kid and he slips and falls. But they don't really commit to that, even though there's a kid with fireworks. That's a real, like,
there's very much the Chekhov fireworks thing happening in this movie.
But like the kids, that's the thing. I think it just doesn't go hard enough any direction. Like the kids don't get involved enough. It's not heartfelt enough. Triple H doesn't sell the idea of the kids loving him enough. It's not really fun. The field trip could be cool in that I like that they go to New Orleans, but then they don't really, again, they spend most of the time in a dinosaur museum. And then even the part that's like the French Quarter, that's when Triple H is like, I'm going to go do my own thing and not be a chaperone.
Right. Well, and like, they could have had like one of the chase scenes interrupted by like the brass marching bands that are all, like one of the like jazz funeral procession type things that are a staple of New Orleans culture. There could have been a lot of more New Orleans things they could have done.
How about this? So there's a big parade like that, which right when the cops are closing in on Triple H, he blends in to that parade and ends up escaping. He ends up down in the sewer and he gets to the end where the water goes into this big waterfall and the cop corners him. And then he's like, I didn't kill my wife. And the guy's like, I don't care. And then he goes, suck it. And then like jumps.
That doesn't sound derivative at all.
Yeah, although it actually, yeah. So, I mean, obviously that's a reference to The Fugitive. And I should be clear. You might have thought, well, the one thing that you added was the end. But no, actually, in all the takes, Harrison Ford did end the scene by saying, suck it. They just edited that out.
Suck it.
I didn't kill my wife.
Kill my wife.
No,
suck
it. By the way, this has nothing to do with this movie. But my favorite thing currently happening is all of the press that Harrison Ford is doing for that new Captain America movie, where people keep asking him like, so what does it feel like to be in a Marvel movie? And he just goes like, well, they pay me a lot of money. So that's why I did it.
I know.
I needed money and so I'm in Marvel. Now get off my plane.
Never tell me the odds.
Now suck it.
No, it's the best. Like, I love that acting is just a job for Harrison Ford, and that might be my favorite thing about him.
Well, I love that acting is just a job, and that like somehow people continue to ask him about things that they're excited for. Because the thing is, he does a really great job. Like, he doesn't show up and phone it in. He's not just collecting a paycheck. He's a great, he's a brilliant actor.
There's a very famous exception to that statement that you made.
Okay, well, there's one exception to that rule, but 99.9% of the time, he shows up. He's very professional. He does what is asked of him, and he's brilliant
and nails it. And he's great.
He just doesn't he doesn't care that you love Star Wars. He doesn't love Star Wars. Star Wars doesn't mean anything to him. He does seem to love being Indiana Jones, though.
I'm sure that's his all-time favorite, like, iconic character of the ones he's played. I think that's probably the one he likes the best.
Yeah, because I think he likes flying airplanes and punching people. Those are his favorite things, and that's
and
the
can you blame him?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Harrison Ford is the best. I'm going to ask, since we're talking about acting, I'm going to get us kind of back on topic. Obviously, now in 2024, we live in a world where Paul Triple H Levesque he's the WWE. He has long been a part of the creative team. He really revolutionized NXT, and now he is in charge of the company. He's in charge of creative. Do you think there was an alternate reality where he did what The Rock did, he did what John Cena did, and he did what Batista did? I don't want to sell the best of all those wrestler
right? Yeah, I was like, hold on a second, hold the phone.
We got to mention Batista because he's phenomenal. But
he's great.
Do you think there's a world where Triple H could have been a megastar actor?
No.
Yeah. You just don't think he was good enough?
I mean, I think some of it's that he's not good enough. I think some of it is that, like, he's too big.
He is, which is funny because it worked for Batista, but that's also a lot of that is Drax. Like, really was
a lot of that is Drax. Like, I think that, I mean, John Cena and The Rock are not small men by any stretch of the imagination. And The Rock has definitely looked inhuman at times in his acting and professional wrestling career. And ditto John Cena. But like, if you were to tell someone to picture a pro wrestler, 2000s Triple H was probably pretty close to what you would picture. If you had to create a wrestler from scratch, it probably looks closer to that than, say, John Cena or people, you know what I mean? Like huge physique, like mean attitude, like grimacing face, all that. Like he's very archetypal in how he is as a pro wrestler. And there's a limit to what you can do with that.
Yeah, I think like I think what you're saying that I agree with is like he never was going to have range. There just isn't range to what he can do. And this movie you got at earlier kind of stretches his range, what he's capable of.
Yeah. I'm ready to pivot if you're ready to pivot.
Yeah, I'm ready to pivot if you're ready to pivot.
Well, I'm ready to pivot. So that means that you're ready to pivot.
Well, actually, you know what? While we're in the liminal space, just want to throw this out there. My other important take on Triple H. He should always have a beard. I never liked clean-shaven Triple H.
I think the only time it worked was the beginning of Evolution.
Yeah. But I don't, in this movie,
otherwise,
yes. He had a beard. Yeah, he should have a beard in this movie.
And God, that beard looked fake in the beginning. That fake beard that he had in the opener. Which
is weird, because I don't know why he couldn't have just grown a beard. Well, just grown a beard, period, and had it the whole time would have been better. But also, yeah, why not? Why does this character not have a beard? He just got out of prison.
Well, he shaved it to show that he's clean cut now.
But he didn't cut his hair.
Nope. He sure didn't. But yeah, I'm ready to pivot.
I'm ready to pivot if you're ready to pivot.
Well, I'm ready to pivot, so that must mean that you're ready to pivot.
Okay, by the transitive property of pivoting.
If there's one thing we know on the show, it's the transitive property. We've mentioned it many times.
Now this is when Andy and I admit we're actually sponsored by BTP, Big Transitive Property.
Big Transitive Property.
They came to us early on and they offered us a flatbed full of cash to be like, look, kids today don't understand the transitive property. And you two seem like cool guys that the youth listen to.
You middle-aged bearded men.
So here's
talk
how
about movies.
Here's how we're going to cut through the noise for BTP. We're going to give you two bearded middle-aged men a podcast. And on it, you're going to continue to talk about the transitive property. And unfortunately, I have now broken their one rule, which was to reveal their existence and to talk about it openly, which means it will be the end. But I think you as the audience deserve to know. And honestly, we're just sick of it.
And we just want a little bit of freedom. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, we just want a little bit of freedom, and talking about it openly will get the contract canceled. So the transitive property means that we will get that freedom.
By the transitive property, by violating the contract. Oh, crap, they got us trapped.
Now we're just doing it for free.
Oh, no. This is the worst possible outcome.
Oh, man. All right. But yeah, I'm ready to pivot.
I thought the scene where Ariel Winter and Triple H had lunch and connected was genuinely touching.
Yes. As much as I think it didn't earn it with the other kids, I thought that scene earned her loving her dad and going to save him. I bought that after their emotional scene, and classic paint by number script of they have this scene and then immediately the rug is pulled out by the newscast. But then, yeah, I thought all of that worked. A lovely scene. They have good chemistry together as father daughter.
Well, even the scene when he's first shows up on the bus and she's giving him really top notch teen attitude. Ariel Winter really nailed that as well. I think she did a really good job of. I think she probably gave the best acting performance in the movie, if we're being perfectly honest.
Well, Enrico Colantoni nailed it as Guy in two scenes.
As Guy in two scenes. Old
guy
two scenes Colantoni.
Guy who doesn't understand how his sound system works during pivotal moment where the wife needs information.
Yeah. I think it started my car.
I love Enrico Colantoni so much. I really do.
I adore him. He is. Fan. Oh, yeah. He is. Yeah, he's great.
I assume that this character is also his character from Party Down. That he just goes on to marry that woman and then has a breakdown in the pilot episode of Party Down.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah.
That's the world I want to live in, at any rate.
Me too. I also, look, Yeardley Smith is a silver lining because she didn't have to do this. And I think that's so funny to me that she chose to do this.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, I could care less when anyone on The Simpsons shows up in something. But when I see live action Yeardley Smith, that's my favorite.
It is. She's just, there's something about her. She's very charming. Like, live action Castellaneta doesn't feel right because, like, he is an animated, he's a cartoon character.
Right.
And
like Hank Azaria does enough that, like, it's not weird to see him in live action stuff.
Yeah, he did a lot of live action stuff before The Simpsons, so
right. And ditto Harry Shearer. I mean, and he's also a bad human. So
well, that's the thing is like seeing Harry Shearer is a bummer because you're like, man, I bet that everybody else on that set is miserable right now. They are having a bad time.
But yeah, and like, I mean, Julie Kavner's great, but I don't know, it just doesn't give me the same joy when I see Yeardley Smith in something.
Yeah, no, it is specific to Yeardley Smith. Yeah, and also shout out to Herman's Head. Yeah, you were gone too soon, and you should sue the Pixar franchise Inside Out because they stole your idea.
They robbed you blind.
Like whole cloth robbed your idea. That's like you can say whatever you want, Pixar, but that's Herman's Head, and we all know it.
I haven't seen Inside Out 2, but Inside Out 1 is a shot-for-shot remake of the first season of Herman's Head.
I bet Inside Out 2 is even more Herman's Head.
Probably.
I bet the kid is now old enough that the kid is working in an office.
I bet. But yeah, no, definitely seeing Yeardley Smith is always fun. This movie did have a lot of actors I really like. We already talked about Kevin Corrigan, Enrico Colantoni, Yeardley Smith, and Annabeth Gish.
Always nice to see Annabeth Gish. Yeah.
You know, she knows the assignment and delivers. The other thing, when we started this podcast, I was like, there's something I wanted to say about the score of this movie, and I couldn't remember what it was. Was it an exceptionally famous composer? And kind of.
Okay.
It's a very famous composer if you are a fan of professional wrestling.
Is it Jim Johnston?
Jim Johnston scored this movie.
Look, man, let's just take a moment to...
Yeah, we need to.
Because Jim Johnston might be the most unsung hero in all of professional wrestling. He wrote banger after banger after banger.
And of the widest berth of types of music.
Yeah,
you know, everything from Real American to the DX theme to... I mean, every theme of the 80s and 90s was Jim Johnston.
Well, and what's great is like the DX theme is just him doing Rage Against the Machine. Like he's very much like he could zero in. I mean, I'm still a big fan of the song that he wrote, which was basically a knockoff of The Doors. That was The End Is Near.
The end is near. That was great.
Yeah. No, that's a great one. I mean, yeah, he wrote Kane's theme song, which I think is one of the best of all time. He also I think you're right
with that, but I think it's because Kane's entrance was so good. Like I never like because there are wrestling themes that I'll listen to like for fun. Kane's theme usually isn't one of them, but that entrance is like that is S tier as an entrance.
Well, I think the fun part of it is then you have to start going, oh God, that's gotta be Kane. That's what you do. You flip your lights off and then you just, start doing a Jim Ross impression.
Yeah.
I do. Can I give a Jim Johnston a hot take that I want you, because I've really, I've appreciated your candor. I think you're right about Triple H, but this is an important one. The Stone Cold Steve Austin theme, which might be his one of if not the most famous theme that he wrote. It's instantly recognizable.
Sure.
It's amazing. It's just the same theme he wrote for Razor Ramon, but sped up, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, right? Does everybody know that? Everybody's cool with that of like Razor Ramon was ba-bum, bum. And then the Stone Cold is just it's just as bad. Yeah. Which look, he had to write a lot of theme songs. The Razor Ramon theme was a banger. He didn't know how big Stone Cold was going to be. Why, like eventually you start recycling your own ideas.
But it's like the guitar is a bit of a different timbre, it's a different tempo. I think the wrestling themes are in the same key. So he's not, he's really worked really well to make all these, to do everything from like Jake the Snake's theme. Absolute banger. Also,
I think his best work would have been Jeff Jarrett's Alone with My Baby Tonight. I think it would really be honest.
I'm going to have to go with Time to Play the Game.
Time to Play the Game.
Because he wrote it, but Motorhead recorded it. And the greatest moment in music and wrestling history
is when they did it live.
Is when Lemmy did it live and didn't know the words.
I knew that's
and just kept going,
say.
It's all about the game and how you play it. It's about the game and how you play it.
What's amazing is that Triple H so sincerely.
It was fine.
Like, that's the thing is Paul Levesque sincerely loves Lemmy, as we all do. Lemmy's amazing.
As everyone should. Motorhead rules.
But Lemmy didn't care about that performance or that song.
He forwarded it.
Yeah. And it's great. I mean,
it's amazing.
Facial hair innovator. Just Lemmy's the best.
Yeah. Lemmy is great. But that song's amazing. Jim Johnson is amazing. As just a great, he just that he straddled the Attitude Era all the way back to the gold, like the rock and wrestling era, and did all of it, and was able to change with the times. And fun fact, when the DX band played live at WrestleMania, he was the guitarist.
Yeah, which the DX band live was terrible. That lead singer was bad. Live.
Yeah.
Yeah. No offense, Jim Johnson didn't do anything wrong, but like the actual guy who's the lead singer, the poor man Zach De La Roca, did not bring it at WrestleMania.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to talk about.
But I just want to say, before you go to the last thing, because I want to just say one more thing. I think as much as I think wrestling is great now, I think we're hitting another boom period. I really love it. I do think we lost something when we lost the original themes. Like I'm a little sad always now that all theme songs are just existing music.
The themes in WWE are bad right now.
Yeah, and that's the other problem is the thing that you could always say with Johnson is like the music hit and you would cheer. Because again, if you heard Glass Break and you heard ba-da-da-da-da-da, you knew exactly what was going to come out. I don't watch wrestling, the WWE product, regularly enough that like when I check in for SummerSlam or WrestleMania or whatever, or Royal Rumble, I'm really a lot of times like, who is it? Like the crowd's cheering, but who's coming out? And I think it's a lost art.
Like I think, one of the areas where I think AEW has WWE is that AEW's theme musics are better.
Unequivocally, like, because if Ospreay's music hit, if Bryan Danielson's music hits, if Swerve Strickland's music hits, like, who that is. Timeless Tony Storm, like, I know a lot more AEW themes than I know WWE themes. There aren't a lot of WWE themes that I think I actually do recognize, to be honest.
No, Cody Rhodes is maybe the only one, but that was an actual song that he commissioned by the band Downstate.
Rollins is good. Seth Rollins' music is good.
His is good.
Yeah.
But by and large, the music is very generic. And the ones that are good still are the ones that are still using either their Johnston themes or their CFO's themes.
Yep, 100%.
Like Shinsuke Nakamura's theme is an effing banger.
That might be the best theme song in the WWE. Like, it's so good. Those strings are so good.
But that was like CFO's did a lot. They I don't know why they cut ties, but yeah, so much better than what's going on in WWE now. Anyway, so the last thing I wanted to talk about to sort of get it more directly back to the movie is the director of this movie is Stephen Herek.
Okay.
And in this director's repertoire, Critters.
Nice.
Mr. Holland's Opus, the 1993 Three Musketeers, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Rush Hour. Oh, the Rush Hour TV show. Sorry, not the movie.
I believe that's Ratner.
Yeah, that is Ratner. But I was just looking through the IMDb. But it's, it's pretty impressive. This guy, he did the 101 Dalmatians live action with Glenn Close.
That is an eclectic filmography.
The Mighty Ducks.
Okay.
Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
He has range. That's what you're saying.
He has range, and I think that's worth mentioning because I love a lot of these movies.
For sure.
Like Hambone.
Yeah, gotta love Hambone.
Everyone loves Hambone. But yeah, so I just think that there's, this director has a very eclectic filmography, but also probably not a distinctive style, which is probably why he has such an eclectic filmography.
Right. Yeah, he's a working man's director for sure. Like he's a director for hire. He's not an auteur.
No. I don't know, but I think we did it. I think that we didn't even have anyone watching over us to make sure we did it, like a chaperone.
And if you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you. The Chaperone.
Silver Linings Playback is a production of HoboTrashCan.com. If you enjoyed the show, please rate or review it on Apple Podcasts. Hear more great shows on the Peak Sloth Podcast Network.